the trader who always protects risk. What if the difference between the trader you are now and the trader you want to become is one decision repeated consistently? Not a better strategy, not more indicators, not a secret system. Just one rule, a stop loss, placed every single time, respected every single time, never widened to escape discomfort. Because most traders don't fail from bad analysis. They fail because when pressure rises, they stop protecting risk. And the dangerous part? It rarely feels reckless in the moment. It feels justified. That's why so many traders stay trapped for years. I remember a trade that looked completely normal at first. The setup was clean. The entry made sense. The stop loss was already placed before the trade even triggered. Everything was controlled until the market moved against me. Not dramatically, just enough to create discomfort. That uncomfortable feeling every trader knows. The feeling that whispers, maybe the stop is too tight. Maybe the market just needs more room. Maybe it will reverse. And that's the moment everything changes. Not technically, psychologically. Because in that moment, you're no longer managing the trade. You're managing your emotions. I stared at the screen watching price get closer to the stop, and I felt resistance. Not resistance to losing money, resistance to being wrong. That's what most traders never fully admit. We don't widen stops because of logic. We widen them because discomfort feels unbearable. So I moved the stop lower, just slightly, and instantly I felt relief. That's the dangerous part. Breaking risk management often feels good temporarily. You feel safer. You feel in control. You feel like you've avoided pain. But what you actually avoided was discipline. The market kept moving against me. What should have been a small controlled loss became something much larger. But the biggest loss wasn't financial. It was trust. Because afterward, I realized something painful. I wasn't trading my system anymore. I was trading fear. And once fear starts managing your trades, risk stops existing. That's when trading becomes dangerous. Not because the market is unpredictable, but because you become unpredictable. That realization changed the way I looked at trading forever. Because I finally understood something consistently profitable. Traders understand deeply. The goal is not to avoid losses. The goal is to survive them correctly. A stop loss is not proof that you're wrong. It's proof that you're disciplined. It's proof that you accept uncertainty. It's proof that you respect survival more than ego. And survival is everything in trading. Because one uncontrolled trade can destroy months of disciplined work. That's why your future self, the consistently profitable trader, always has a stop loss. Always. No exceptions. Not when the setup looks perfect. Not when confidence is high. Not when the market should reverse. Always. Because your future self understands something your emotional mind forgets under pressure. Every trade is uncertain, no setup is guaranteed, no analysis is perfect. The market owes you nothing. And once you truly accept that, stop losses stop feeling optional. They become non-negotiable. This is where most traders separate into two completely different futures. One trader thinks, I'll widen the stop just this once. The other thinks, my risk was defined before the trade. That decision is already made. At first, the difference seems small. One decision, one adjustment, one emotional reaction. But repeated over time, those two traders become completely different people. One becomes emotionally reactive, the other becomes stable. One trades to avoid pain. The other trades to manage probabilities. One hopes, the other manages risk. And eventually, the market exposes the difference. Because trading is not a test of prediction. It's a test of emotional discipline under uncertainty. Anyone can place a stop loss when calm. The real test comes when price gets close to it. That's where identity appears. The moment where your emotions say, move it, and your standards say, no. That moment decides everything, not once, repeatedly. Because every time you widen a stop loss, you teach yourself something. You teach yourself that rules disappear under pressure. You teach yourself that emotions have authority over your system. And once that pattern becomes automatic, consistency becomes impossible. But every time you keep the stop where it belongs, even when it hurts, you build something much more important than profit: self-trust. You become someone who protects capital, someone who survives losing streaks, someone who can stay emotionally stable, because risk is always controlled. That's the foundation of long-term profitability, not avoiding losses, controlling them. Most traders think profitability comes from winning more, but real traders understand profitability comes from losing correctly. Small losses, controlled losses, expected losses, because losses are part of the business. Uncontrolled losses are not. And that's the shift your future self already understands. Your future self doesn't panic when a stop gets hit. They planned for it before entering. They accepted the risk before clicking buy or sell. The loss is not emotional anymore. It's operational. Just another executed process. That's why they stay calm. Not because they never lose, because they never lose control. Control is everything. Not control over the market, control over yourself. Your future self knows this deeply. That's why they don't negotiate with stops. They don't widen risk because emotions rise. They don't remove stops because this setup is different. They don't average down emotionally to avoid accepting the loss. Because they understand one truth most struggling traders avoid. A trader without a respected stop loss is eventually gambling with survival. And survival is the first responsibility of every trader. Without survival, nothing else matters. Not strategy, not psychology, not experience. If you cannot protect risk consistently, the market eventually removes you. That's why the most important moment in trading is often not the entry. It's the moment after the entry. The moment discomfort appears, the moment uncertainty rises, the moment your emotions demand control. That's when your real identity shows up. Not the trader you say you are, the trader your actions prove you are. So from this moment forward, replace one question. Stop asking, how can I avoid this loss? Start asking, what would a trader who survives for the next 10 years do right now? The answer is almost always the same. Protect risk, respect the stop, accept the loss, move on. Because consistently profitable traders don't become profitable through avoiding pain. They become profitable through accepting controlled pain repeatedly without losing discipline. That's the difference. And eventually, something changes. You stop fearing stop losses. You start fearing the absence of them. You stop feeling attacked by losing trades. You start seeing them as business expenses. You stop trying to be right on every trade. You start trying to be disciplined on every trade. And that's when trading becomes calmer, cleaner, more stable. Because now your account is no longer exposed to emotional decisions. It's protected by standards. And standards create consistency. One day you'll realize the biggest shift wasn't improving your entries. It was becoming someone who never allows one trade to threaten their future. Someone who always has risk defined. Someone who never widens a stop to escape discomfort. Someone who understands that protecting capital is protecting opportunity. That's the trader your future self already is, and they are built one disciplined decision at a time. one respected stop loss at a time, one controlled loss at a time. Until eventually, discipline stops feeling forced and becomes identity. If this message stayed with you, then don't let it end as motivation. Apply it. One rule, one disciplined decision, one trade where you respect your stop. And if you want more content like this, you can subscribe and continue the journey.